Hello everyone, this is LATHA AKULA. So before going to my video, please like my video. Today we are going to study about uptake and transport of mineral nutrients. Uptake and transport of mineral nutrients. The plant not only require carbohydrates but also they require minerals. And we know how these carbohydrates obtained by the plant by the process of photosynthesis. They prepare the carbohydrates. And how these minerals enters into the plant? These minerals they may be obtained from the atmosphere, soil, water. These are the sources of the minerals. Carbohydrate source is the photosynthesis and minerals are obtained by the atmosphere, soil and water. And if you see the plant it obtain its carbon source from the carbon dioxide, oxygen from the outside environment and hydrogen from the water, and all the minerals that are obtained from the soil. So these are the sources of different minerals for the plant. If you see the mineral uptake in plants, most of the minerals are absorbed actively by the roots, not by the most of the absorption takes place by active absorption process. And why the minerals are absorbed in the active process? There are two reasons. One is minerals in the soil are in the form of charged ions. How they occur? They were in the form of charged ions. These charged ions cannot cross the membrane passively, that is without energy utilization. Those mineral ions cannot be taken inside. And another reason is the concentration of the minerals in the soil is less when compared to the concentration of the mineral nutrients in the roots. So against the concentration, roots has to take the inside. That means against the concentration means what? If you see in the passive absorption, the minerals are solutes, they pass from higher concentration to the lower concentration, that is with the concentration gradient. But in active absorption, what we have studied, the minerals will absorb against concentration from the lower concentration to higher concentration. For that they need some energy. Here also the concentration of the minerals outside is very less when compared to the concentration inside the roots. Hence they have to be taken inside by using some energy. They will absorb the nutrients by the active process. Most of the minerals they enter root by the active absorption process. Here for the active absorption they use energy. That energy is obtained from the ATP, and minerals they move against the concentration gradient. Already we have studied what is the concentration gradient, that is from the lower concentration to higher concentration. And here because of the active uptake of ions, some potential gradient is created in the roots. So because of this potential gradient, this gradient helpful for the uptake of water by the osmosis. So of the active uptake of ions, the solute molecules will enter into the roots, right? Hence because of that, water potential gradient will generated in the roots. And here because of the generation of the water potential gradient, the water from the outside, that is from the soil, that will enter into the inside, that is inside the roots by the osmosis process. So this active absorption of the ions is helpful for the uptake of the water by osmosis process. And some ions studied active process is the most of the ions are absorbed by the active absorption, but some ions are also absorbed passively. Hence here what we can say, the mineral ions, uptake of mineral ions in the roots takes place both by active absorption process and passive absorption process, but mostly it is taken up by the active process. But some minerals are also enters by the passive absorption process. Here absorption of the minerals, it is done by the mass flow or diffusion process. And active transport, for the active transport we know there are some specific membrane proteins are required for the active absorption of the minerals, and those pumps they actively pump the ions into the cytoplasm of the epidermal cells by taking the ATP. And here if you see in the endodermal cells, so after reaching the endodermis, in the endodermal cells, they have many transport proteins are present. In their plasma membrane, and these transport protein, they control the passage of the minerals or solutes. They control the passage of the entry of these solutes and minerals. That means what? These transport proteins of the endodermal cells, they will act as a control points. How they will act as? They will act as a control points. They will not easily allow all the solutes into the cells, because they stop some of the solutes outside. They allow only some solutes to pass through. That is because depending upon the requirement of the plant, the quantity of the solutes and the type of the solutes are allowed by these transport proteins of the endodermal cells, and which will be sent to the xylem. Because sometimes some nutrients, some minerals may be poisonous to the plants, and some minerals may be required in small quantities. So that is why these control points of the endodermal cells, they will allow specifically some solutes to pass through. And once they reaches the suberin covering of the endodermal cells, they will, once they enter into that, that will not be sent back. That means the suberin covering allows the passage of ions only in one direction. The next one is translocation of mineral ions. So we have studied that the ions, they may enter the foods either by passive absorption or active absorption, mostly by the active absorption. Once they enter inside the roots, they reaches the xylem vessels, and then from the xylem vessels they will reaches to the stem, and all parts wherever they were needed, they were called as sink. They were called as sinks. All the parts which require these minerals and water, they were called as sinks. So wherever these minerals and water are required, to those parts, this xylem vessel will translocate the minerals by the transpiration stream. And examples for the chief sinks of the mineral elements are growing regions of the leaf, growing regions of the plant such as apical meristem, lateral meristem, young leaves, developing fruits, flowers, seed, and storage organ. All these growing regions, they require mineral nutrients, they require additional nutrition, right, for their growth. Hence they will act as the chief sinks. And these minerals, they were unloaded in the near to the fine vein endings by the diffusion process. And how these mineral nutrients will be picked up? These mineral nutrients, they will be picked up by the sink organs by active uptake process. By active, that means they require energy for the uptake of the minerals. And not only that, if you see the plant, they consist of some old sensing parts like dried stem parts, or falling leaves, or dried leaves, or dead leaves. Dead parts will be present, right? Dead flowers. From there also some nutrients will be present. So though the nutrients present in those dead, drying, falling parts of the plant will be remobilized to the young growing parts. They were remobilized to the young growing parts. And here not all the elements will not easily remobilized. Some elements will be easily mobilized. Examples for those elements which are readily mobilized are phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium. They were easily mobilized, but some elements, they cannot be mobilized. Those elements have been structurally incorporated. Those elements are structurally incorporated compounds. Examples for that are calcium. The calcium will not be easily mobilized to the growing regions from the dead parts. These remobilized minerals will reach us to the young growing leaves or other sinkers. Generally believe that xylem consists of inorganic nutrients, phloem consists of organic nutrients. It is a general belief, but it is not true, because some chemical analysis says that when we have examined the xylem sap, we have seen that some nitrogen travels in inorganic form, okay, but most of it has organic form of nitrogen, such as amino acids and other related compounds. That means not only inorganic form, but also organic form of the nitrogen also travels in the form of amino acids and other related compounds. Not only that, some small amounts of phosphorus, sulfur are also carried in the form of organic form. And here xylem and phloem will be side by side. Sometimes the exchange of the water and minerals food will be takes place between the xylem and phloem also. So finally what we can conclude here, in the xylem, elements are translocated through the xylem in both organic and inorganic form. So in the xylem, not only inorganic nutrients but also organic nutrients are also translocated through the xylem. This is about the translocation of the mineral ions. The next one is the phloem transport.